Since I returned to work almost 8 months ago, I've been writing consistently every single day. That's at least 248 days of writing at least 1,000 words per day, whether in the drafting or the revision stage. Since I began, I've finished writing one book that I'm currently querying, and I'm past the midpoint of drafting a second one. So today, I want to go through my main strategies to build a consistent writing routine independently of working a full-time job. And this video is going to get very rambly, so I apologize in advance for that, but let's get started. First of all, know where your priorities lie. First and foremost, when you commit to writing steadily on a daily basis, other hobbies and activities will inevitably take a backseat or need to be scaled back. I think this was the most troublesome part for me when it comes to writing on a daily basis, because I quickly understood that I can't only write for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. I need a little bit more time to really feel like I'm flowing and that I'm inspired enough to write, and this takes time. And I don't have a lot of free time right now. I'm trying to juggle this business and a full-time job and being a mom. So this means that I had to really prioritize writing, and I had to ensure that most of my hobbies were taking a back seat. So I became really selective when it comes to the series and the movies I'm watching, the books I'm reading. I quit social media a lot, and that's why you didn't see me as often as you usually do. But I really had to prioritize writing in the small amounts of leisure that I actually have during the day. Secondly, equip yourself with a good writing tool set. If your writing tools aren't up to par, it will be challenging to settle into a comfortable and consistent routine. So personally, I am a Scrivener girl. I love using Scrivener to write, but that's also because I'm a bit of a pantser, which means that I usually do not work with an outline. I have a few ideas when it comes to the story beats, and I try to follow them as much as possible, but usually I will write whatever comes up as I'm writing, which means that Microsoft Word or Google Docs are not ideal for me because they're not very easy to rearrange scenes, and they're not very easy to customize according to your own specific way of writing. And what I really love about Scrivener is that it has these different view modes. So you have the corkboard, you have the outline view, and of course you have the classic page view, where you can write as you would write in any kind of word processor. Also, I really love the fact that it has this constant auto-saving feature. You will never have the issue of losing your progress on Scrivener, at least I never had, and I had my computer shutting off the program multiple times in the past, and nothing ever happened to my work. And I really like to rearrange my scenes and my chapters and get a notion of how I like those scenes to flow. And it's very, very easy to rearrange because you do not have to copy and paste things as you would if you were working on a word processor. I actually have a couple of Scrivener tutorials on my channel, so you can check those out and see what are the features that I love the most in this specific writing program. Build a routine and be flexible with it. So when you start writing while managing other aspects of life, expect to experiment with different approaches. You might assume that evenings are the best time, only to find exhaustion stifles your creativity. So this might prompt you to find pockets of time throughout your day to incorporate writing. So personally, I have 3 different writing blocks throughout a typical day. Usually I write right before work, so I usually start working around 9:30 a.m. and I will usually write between 9 and 9:30. And this really gives me a boost of motivation and creativity, and it feels really nice to start the day with writing. And then I have to work throughout the morning, and then I have a small writing block during my lunch break. Sometimes this can be a 10-minute writing block, sometimes it can be a 45-minute writing block. It really depends on how much work I have on the table. And after work, I will also try to write for at least 30 minutes right after I leave work. When I'm really in the process of enjoying drafting, and this happened with my first book, there will be a time where I will be writing on hours on end in the evenings because I can't stop writing. So that would be a 4th writing block during the day. Currently, I'm not doing that, but I know that once I get really excited about book 2, that's what's going to happen again, and I really enjoy that process. My advice here is to try various schedules, so full sessions versus shorter sessions, morning versus evening, shorter sessions on weekdays and longer on weekends, etc. And don't be discouraged if a routine doesn't immediately work out, and you should keep adjusting until you find your rhythm. Tip number 4 is to start with very small goals and then build up from there. So when I started writing again around 8 to 9 months ago, my goal was to just sit down and write a sentence per writing session. I didn't want to commit to specific word count. I didn't want to commit to having to sit down for 30 minutes to write. I just wanted to write a sentence. And I wanted to do this consistently every single day until I got that habit of knowing that there's a time in the day where I need to sit down and write something, even if it's just a couple of words. Once I started doing that, it was very easy to build up from there and tell myself that, okay, now I want to write a full paragraph. And once I was able to do that, I once again built up and told myself I wanted to write a full page. So as I grew more comfortable with my routine, it was very easy to become a little bit more ambitious and tell myself that I wanted to write at least 1,000 words per day. And as I told you before, when I'm reaching around midpoint of a book, those 1,000 words can quickly become 2,000 words, 3,000 words, and as you're going to see on the screen, even 4,000 words to 7,000 words in a single evening writing session. So this tip number 4 has a lot to do with tip number 5, which is word vomiting. I know that a lot of people like to edit as they go, and they want to make sure that when they're writing a very polished paragraph or sentence or page. I personally, and this is only according to my preferences and also, according to my personality and the way I like to work, I like to word vomit on draft number 1, which means that on draft number 1, a lot of things will not make sense. There will be a lot of typos, a lot of punctuation errors, a lot of inconsistencies in the writing itself, and I don't care. The only thing I want to do is to write more words and to be able to flesh out the scenes as they are in my mind. Editing comes later, and usually I do several editing passes, and that's what I did with book 1, and that's what I'm also doing with book 2. So I do several editing passes to make sure everything is flowing nicely. But that first draft, the one that really helps me build that consistency, is pure word vomiting. And overall, I just want to highlight that these 5 tips that you heard today are the things that work for me personally. Every writer is different. Every person works in a different way. Every person thinks in a different way. So it's normal that some of these tips will not apply to you or will not make sense to you. But I also want to give out my personal experience to show you that it is possible to write consistently. It is possible to write with a full-time job. Maybe you're not writing at the pace you want to write. Maybe you're going to be exhausted and sometimes you will not be able to write at all. But I think that if you are passionate about writing, as I am passionate about writing, you will feel like it's so easy to put other things aside and to fill in that little bit of free time you have available to build your writing routine. Writing, just like learning, relies heavily on consistency and small wins, even when you don't have enough time in your busy schedule to dedicate hours on end to that hobby. If you're looking to improve your knowledge of STEM-related subjects, I can't recommend Brilliant enough, and they're kindly sponsoring today's video. Brilliant offers bite-sized lessons that ensure you acquire real-life skills using practical examples, helping you learn at a very fast pace and understand what really matters. With Brilliant, you can take quick, fun lessons whenever you have the time, which is basically the opposite of doom scrolling. While you may think that some of their courses may not apply to your job or the industry you're working in, there are umbrella courses that will apply to almost everyone. For instance, learning more about data content can pay off in almost any job, and they have a step-by-step data analysis learning path that's perfect for learners of any level, as it guides you through 5 levels of learning along with case studies. And you can learn without feeling like it's another chore. Even if it's a skill you want to learn to become the go-to person on your team, the exercises are so fun and interactive you won't even notice time is flying by. So to try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for 30 days, visit brilliant.org/Mariana or click the link in the description box below, and you'll also get 20% off your annual premium subscription. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I will see you next week. Bye guys!